Your ship is on fire, taking on water. Most of your guns are destroyed, and the enemy captain is demanding your surrender. What do you say? One Scottish fugitive turned American hero delivered a response on September 23, 1779, that became the most defiant battle cry in naval history. Stay until the end to discover how this moment defined the American fighting spirit forever. Meet John Paul, a gardener's son from Scotland, who became America's greatest naval hero through a series of incredible twists of fate. But first, he had to become a fugitive. At just 13 years old, John Paul becomes a cabin boy, sailing from Scotland to Virginia to visit his brother. He's ambitious and talented, but also has a dangerous temper. By age 21, he's already a ship's captain. But here's where his story takes a dark turn. It's 1773, and John Paul is commanding a ship called the Betsy in the Caribbean. His crew mutinies over wages, and in the heat of the moment, he kills the ringleader with his sword in what he claims was self-defense. But here's the problem. He's a nobody, going up against a well-connected family and a British court system. So what does he do? He flees to Virginia, adds Jones to his name to hide his identity, and disappears into colonial America. John Paul becomes John Paul Jones, essentially creating a whole new life for himself. When the American Revolution breaks out in 1775, this Scottish fugitive sees his chance for redemption. He walks into Philadelphia and joins the Continental Navy. Think about it. Here's a man with nothing left to lose, fighting for a country that gave him a second chance. Fast forward to September 23, 1779. Jones is now commanding the Bonhomme Richard, an old French ship that's basically held together with hopes and prayers. But Benjamin Franklin had helped him get this command, and Jones named the vessel after Franklin's Poor Richard character. Off the coast of England, Jones spots a British merchant convoy protected by the HMS Serapus, a brand new, heavily armed British warship. Any sensible captain would sail away. But remember, this is a man who already lost everything once and rebuilt his life from scratch. The battle begins at sunset, and it's an absolute disaster for the Americans. The Bonhomme Richard is outgunned, outmaneuvered, and literally falling apart. Two of Jones's most enormous cannons explode, killing his own crew. Water is pouring into the ship. Most of his remaining guns are destroyed. This is when British Captain Richard Pearson shouts across the water, "Has your ship struck?" Meaning, are you surrendering? This is the moment. Everything Jones has fought for, everything America represents, comes down to this single response. And from his burning, sinking ship, John Paul Jones shouts back the words that will echo through American history. "I have not yet begun to fight." Here's what's incredible. After saying those words, Jones actually won. He lashed his sinking ship to the British vessel, and his crew fought for 3 more hours in hand-to-hand combat until the British surrendered. The Bonhomme Richard sank the next day, but Jones sailed away in the captured British ship. That phrase, "I have not yet begun to fight," became the unofficial motto of the U.S. Navy. But here's what I love most about this story. It wasn't spoken by some privileged aristocrat or born leader. It came from a fugitive gardener's son who had to reinvent himself to survive. Jones represents the ultimate American story. Someone who lost everything, got a second chance, and when faced with impossible odds, refused to give up. That spirit, born on September 23, 1779, still defines how Americans see themselves when their backs are against the wall. Every time someone refuses to quit when things look hopeless, every time an underdog stands up to overwhelming odds, they're channeling the spirit of that Scottish fugitive who became an American hero. John Paul Jones proved that in America, your past doesn't have to define your future, but your courage in the moment can define history. September 23rd reminds us that sometimes the most powerful words aren't "I surrender," but "I have not yet begun to fight." What's your favorite comeback story or moment when someone refused to give up against impossible odds? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear about the moments that inspire you to keep fighting. These fantastic stories show us that history's most significant moments often come from ordinary people doing extraordinary things when it matters most. Hit that subscribe button and join our community, because the past is full of heroes whose stories will inspire you to face your own challenges with courage. Trust me, you won't want to miss the following incredible story we're bringing to life.